Professor Larry Holder, who's been turned into an elementary school teacher at his home somewhere in Metry, is good enough to join us now. How are you, dude?
I'm good, and come on, we're not Metry, dude. We're Algiers. Come on.
Oh,
Straight
my
up
bad.
Algiers.
My bad. I
Come on.
thought you were in Metry. I didn't know. All right.
I am a River Ridge native, but I am an Algiers
Resident.
resident.
You have never invited me to your home, so how would I know where you live?
How often do you come to New Orleans?
All the time.
Twice a year?
No, are you kidding me? I'm there all the time.
All the time.
All the time.
You've never invited me to your home.
How often are you in Baton Rouge?
Enough.
Not enough, apparently.
No, usually it's for work purposes, and then I get the hell out of Dodge.
Exactly. I see you for 10 minutes at a press conference like I'm going home, going to Algiers.
Exactly. It's a long ride, man. You got to cross that bridge.
You got to cross the bridge. I get it.
West Bank, man.
Man, if there's traffic getting out of Baton Rouge, man, you are screwed. You know what I mean?
I go the Gonzales route every time. I don't even bother with it. It's slower, like longer, I guess, mileage-wise, but I tend to guarantee I won't run into traffic.
So you go the River Road, like that, was it 20? To LA 20?
Yeah, I get off by all the outlet malls, and then I will go, especially like on game days. I will just take the left right by the casino and then go River Road.
Yeah,
it just makes life easier.
So much easier for sure,
Right.
Provided you can get out. Okay, look, Saints free agency. My God, they've been active. So let's start with today's news, and then we'll kind of branch out. Restructuring Janoris Jenkins' contract frees up cap space. What are they going to do with that cap space?
I think part of it is that they probably needed to make room for some of the moves that they've made. I don't think that they're going to go back out and make some more moves because some of these contracts, like you hear the numbers, but they don't go through immediately. And so the Saints, even though numbers can leak, they still have to be creative and kind of put it officially on the books. So I think that was part of maybe making some room and giving themselves some space. So I don't think any of this restructuring going forward is going to be to go out and make a big splash, because who's left out there to really think, man, if you haven't gone and signed them yet and spent significant money on someone yet, the Saints especially are not going to do so. So, and all it is, it's not like Janoris Jenkins took less money. I mean, it's a straight up restructure. It's not like Tico Alonso or Patrick Robinson where they had to take less money. This is just using voidable years, as we've seen the Saints do a million times, just kick the can down the road. And now every team is using the voidable years tactic that the Saints have used. So, this is becoming the new norm in the NFL.
I love that, by the way. You just have voidable years at the end of a contract to pay for it down the road. It's like, so you're building.
Years that won't even count. Like he could be retired for 3 years, like Drew Brees. It's like, whatever. We'll just make up these phony years. I don't even know how that really came into fruition and how someone talked the NFL to doing that, but now every team's doing that.
It's really, or there was just no provision, and they just came up with the idea. It's really smart, however they came about it. So, give me your overall assessment of what the Saints have done in free agency to this point.
Well, let's just start with the outside moves. We've talked about Malcolm Jenkins, and look, I think that's an upgrade from Von Bell. I personally do. Others may disagree, but I think you're looking in the immediacy, and that's fine. And the future strong safety is already on the roster with C.J. Gardner-Johnson. So I don't have any problem with adding Malcolm Jenkins and then moving C.J. G.J. there in a couple of years. Now, Emmanuel Sanders, I never thought the Saints would be in the running for Emmanuel Sanders because I thought he would get a bigger contract earlier in free agency. And the fact that the wide receiver market was soft, and part of that has to do with the draft coming up because people figure they can get a receiver in the draft. So they're not going to overspend. So the fact that you got to day 5 of free agency, and Sanders was still in the market, and the money was pretty reasonable for a wide receiver, I think this is perfection. I think this is the exact player that the Saints needed to help complement Michael Thomas. No longer are you going to have to worry about who's the number 2 receiver. I mean, it's certainly Emmanuel Sanders. And don't look at his numbers the last couple of years and say, oh, well, he's fallen off. Look who his quarterbacks have been. That has been the major problem. Once he actually went to the 49ers, his production upticked. And as we've seen firsthand, he ran all over and caught all over the Saints when he was with the Niners. So I think those two moves, shrewd moves, and I think the Sanders move is arguably the best price value, maybe the smartest move in free agency we've seen from any team so far.
What about some of the lesser moves that we've seen them make? Adding, re-signing Noah Spence like they did today. They added a cornerback, Dietrich Nichols. I got it, Dietrich Nichols from the XFL. What do you think about some of these sort of second and third tier moves that they made?
But Noah Spence and Dietrich
Nichols.
They just have to make the team. Dietrich Nichols, the XFL guy. That's just like he's got to become make the roster before he's not the XFL.
Right.
They just got to make the roster. That's the thing. Same thing with DJ Swearinger. I mean, these are 1-year deals, minimal deals. You want to see what they have, but Noah Spence. This was like his fourth team in the past 2 years, and it's his roster spot was only there because they had some injuries, and they're basically giving him a shot to make the team. So any of these kind of 1-year deal guys, they're just trying to fight to make the team. It's not like bringing back Onyemata and bringing back Andres Pete. I mean, they're just veteran minimum guys trying to make the team.
Are you surprised Pete's back with the team?
I would have said yes at the very beginning of free agency, but as the guards came off the board, as the days went on, it made more sense because the guard market dried up. Now, the money troubled. Kudos to Pete for getting money. I don't fight any player that gets maximum value, and I think he actually overmaxed his value, and that's kudos to Honors Pete. I just think that his inconsistencies that everyone has seen is something that when you see $33 million guaranteed, you're like, whoa, okay. And you're wondering if the Saints are going to get this one right. And it's not like there hasn't been a spotlight on Andres Pete ever since he got into the league, being their 15th first-round pick. There's going to be even bigger one now. And so when I was at the Combine, I've talked to a bunch of people, and it wasn't wide receiver. It wasn't something else. They said interior offensive line was the biggest concern for the Saints. And they didn't actually point to Andres Pete. It was more pointing to Larry Warford. So they've invested in Pete. It's time for Warford to really kind of put up or shut up, and then he might be out the door after this year. And I could certainly see them drafting someone coming up. I would be stunned if they did not draft an interior offensive lineman this year.
So I was going to go next to Larry Holder's our guest, by the way. He's on Twitter at Larry Holder, theathletic.com/New Orleans. By the way, did I read that The Athletic is offering everything right now with no paywall?
We are doing a 90-day free trial.
Okay, 90-day free trial.
You go in, subscribe, you put in your information, but you get your first 90 days for free. If you like it, stay on past 90 days. If not, you can cancel and not pay anything. So, look, I mean, yeah, it's a really good deal if you really want to give it a shot. And, I mean, we're producing tons of great stories even without games. Again, I'm always impressed with what we do. And, look, we're doing a really good job doing some cool stories with LSU. And then, of course, we're giving you all kinds of Saints blanket coverage right now.
Yeah. I mean, the NFL, during this time, the NFL free agency news cycle has been incredible. I mean, we've not been slow at all, mostly because of this. But what I wanted to get to was the draft. So given what the Saints have done in free agency, and this is the obvious question, right? What does it mean for what their plans might be in the draft?
The fact you get Sanders, you certainly aren't married to getting a wide receiver now at number 24, yet that still could happen. I mean, look, Sanders is on a 2-year deal. He's 33 years old. He's not going to be there forever. You get a first-round wide receiver, you got tied to him for 5 years. So if someone falls, maybe they really love Justin Jefferson if he's on the board. they could easily still take him. But it's not an absolute necessity to do so, and so it gives them some flexibility. And look, I'll tease. I've got my second mock draft for the Saints up right now at The Athletic. Look, I debated between Patrick Queen and Kenneth Murray from Oklahoma. So I'm looking linebacker, and I'll just give it away since we're giving our stuff away right now for 90 days. I took Kenneth Murray because I assumed Patrick Queen would be off the board. So I feel like linebacker could be something that they really look at round one, but they could be open to other things. I mean, best player available, one of these tackles falls, maybe they take him, and then they have a plan going forward. Maybe if they decide to move on from Teron Armstead because he gets hurt too much, in a year or so.
Yeah, I'm looking at your mock draft. We got it up on the screen right now for those watching. You got the Kenneth Murray draft breakdown from Dane Bugler. Then I'm looking at Van Jefferson in round 2. So you got the Saints going receiver there in round 2, getting a receiver. I tend to agree with you, Larry. Linebacker, if they like Murray or Queen, whichever one, for me it's what and what with the two. If the Saints scouting department decides that they favor one of those guys more than the other, and he's on the board at 24, they pull the trigger, I think that's a phenomenal get. You can address receiver later in the draft.
Oh, I think so too. There's no doubt. Like I said, there are holes at linebacker. A.J. Klein is gone. Kiko Alonso, we don't know when he's going to be ready to play. He might not be ready for week 1 with his torn ACL he suffered at the end of the season. You can't trust that Alex Anzalone is going to be healthy. What is Caden Ellis? We don't know. So I feel like if those two guys, Queen and Murray, I really like those guys as playmakers. And you figure it out. A lot of pundits think Murray would be more of a weak side linebacker as opposed to a middle linebacker in the NFL. But he played middle linebacker the whole time at Oklahoma, so he knows the position. They just feel like he's athletic and can make plays on the outside. But Queen obviously can be a middle linebacker. If you pair any of those with DeMario Davis and their 3-down linebackers, I think you're feeling pretty good about yourself.
Well said. I just retweeted Larry's mock draft, by the way. So if you follow me on Twitter, I just retweeted, or if you follow Larry, he's on Twitter at Larry Holder. You can read his stuff, theathletic.com/New Orleans. Last thing before you go, this is just a complete opinion. Nobody's holding anybody to this, obviously, because nobody really knows. But what's your feeling as far as the possibility of training camp starting on time and us having a season start on time?
I suspect it will. Just seeing how it seems like the president's trying to push for commerce to be open a little bit sooner than maybe people think. And, I think if business moves, then the season will stay pat. So I'm going under the assumption that training camp will start on time. Maybe not OTAs. Obviously it's state driven. I mean, states can make the stay-at-home policies and this, that, and the other, and the teams and the leagues aren't abiding, by necessarily what the president has to say. But if commerce moves, I feel like the season moves along. So I'm suspecting training camp and the regular season will be ready to go when it's its normal time.
Good stuff, man. Hey, thanks as always. Appreciate you. Good luck with third grade science. What are we doing?
We're doing social living, spelling, reading, math, religion. I mean, It's 4 or 5 subjects a day, man.
Love it.
Crazy town.
It's awesome. Back to school with Uncle Larry. It's so good. Hey, man, have a great night. We'll talk later.
I don't think they need Uncle Larry to teach them, just like straight up dads. Let's leave the uncle part after they go to sleep.
It might be way better, actually, with Uncle Larry. So all I'm saying is consider it. That's all I'm saying is consider it.
Exactly.
All right, man.
All right, Matt.
See you.
Good talking about
All right, Larry Holder again on Twitter at Larry Holder.